Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Dad FF. It is rookie season is starting to dwindle a little bit. It is startup season, and we've been doing mock drafts every Wednesday, trying to help you guys out with your rookie drafts. Today, we're going to talk about these top 10 rookie steals that are going to help you in your startups. So where these guys are, Snoog and I have really given you all the framework, put out the rookie guide, showed you guys where it is. Help us out. Smash that subscribe button and enjoy the process. Snoog, we crushed it with rookies this year. I mean, we really got people into position, let them know what's going on. And now rookie fever is in full swing. Those values you were seeing 3 months ago where you were getting the 108 at pick X, now all of a sudden it's up several rounds. And rookie fever is in full swing. We got some guys here I'm excited to cover when it comes to startup drafts.
Yeah, me too, especially this running back class. We're going to talk about a few of those guys here today, but a lot of them are great values in comparison to where me and you have them in our dynasty rankings versus where the consensus has them going in startups and as well with the wide receivers as well. So a bit more bullish on some of these guys than the consensus. So I'm excited to jump in and talk about some of the guys we like, the values that they're at, and what the upside they bring and why we like them so much in startups.
Typical Smash Accept fashion, we are going to be doing super chats tonight since it is a live show. If we hit 5, we'll give away a basic month of our Smash Accept Patreon. Our Patreon right now is blowing up. It is the fastest growing Discord in Dynasty. Honestly, it's up over 800 people. We are giving you guys our content. We're giving you our rankings. We have startup areas. We have places for mock drafts. It's pretty much everything in a one-stop shop that you guys could want. And right now, if you use code STATS, you get 50% off your first month. So, we always say it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. Right now, it's half a cup of coffee. Like literally, you're getting it for, maybe a nice water at a gas station. So check it out. I'm sure we're gonna wow you because there's a lot of great stuff in there. Snoog, when we look at ADP, we're starting to look at guys that are values. And the first one, we're not going to talk about values, but we're going to talk about how high Ashton Jeanty has gone. Ashton Jeanty is now going, if you look up the Dynasty Data Lab, he is going at pick 14. He is all the way up at, honestly, and it's crazy because he's so dang good, but he's going in that same area as Malik Neighbors, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Is it justified? I struggle with that. You're going to miss guys. I have no problem. He is the 101 every single time, right? But how do we actually get into that area, being able to say, I'm going to invest this kind of capital in a rookie before I see him? You and I know he's generational. You and I love the talent. But are you willing to take him right now over guys like Lamb, Neighbors, Amon-Ra, Caleb? Does he belong in that area as a rookie?
He does, in my opinion, because I think he is right there with Gibbs and Bijan. Definitely going to take him over the wide receivers in McBride. I think him and Caleb are both deserving to be right up there with Lamb at that 201, 202, 203 spot, comfortably ahead of like Amon-Ra, BTJ, McBride, and Puka and some of those guys. Nothing against those wide receivers and that tight end. They're foundational pieces, but I just think that they have a much higher ceiling and path to kind of carrying your dynasty roster and team throughout playoffs, all that good stuff. Like Jeanty has 400-point upside, like generational type production from a rookie running back. He could come out and put up 350 plus fantasy points. Puka, Amon-Ra, BTJ, probably never putting up 350 plus fantasy points, right? They're probably in that 280 to 320 range, which is elite, but they don't have the same ceiling as an Ashton Jeanty, in my opinion.
Yeah, so let's start hitting in again, guys. I see a ton of questions on here. We're going to be doing super chats only, so if you guys get in there, we will answer all of your questions. The first one we're going to talk about from this mock draft, and this is all again from Dynasty Data Lab. We're pulling up all of our information off of there from actual startups. They swipe all of the sleeper leagues. They get all your startup value. For me, one of the best values in your startup right now is TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson Snoog. He's going as RB10 with an ADP of 45. And the guys that are in that area, and this is what I really like to see, is where does the rest of the market value? Where do they see a guy like TreVeyon Henderson? He is going that same area as Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams. I'm sorry, I would rather have him at this point over either of those running backs. He goes in the same areas as T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, and he goes, a couple picks behind Cam Ward. I am smashing him over Cam Ward. I think Rice and Higgins, it really is what you build. I find those guys more at that 104. But I think at the cost where you're getting TreVeyon Henderson in comparison to Jonathan Taylor and Kyron Williams, I love TreVeyon Henderson in this offense. I think early on we're like, oh, it's the Patriots. This isn't going to be it. But I think you're going to see a 3-down back. Ram's going to get sprinkled in a little bit, but he's the best pass blocker in this class, meaning he's going to stay on the field. They do not have the weapons outside of him that are electric. He is their number one guy. Snoog, if you want to go ahead and pull up some of these trades on Dynasty Data Lab, which is another great aspect that they have, is you click on the player there. Hit me up with some of the trade values here real quick on what it's going to cost to get TreVeyon Henderson.
Yeah, you're going to like this one because actually it's one of your biggest buys, and then it's one of your favorite players. Bryce Young and TreVeyon Henderson for Omarion Hampton in 2 mid to late seconds, 26 and 27.
So as much as I love Omarion Hampton, and his value is super high, he's going above Devon Achane. He's going in at pick 36 in this particular draft. As much as I love him, the gap between Omarion Hampton and TreVeyon Henderson in the rookie draft is larger than what it is in a startup, if that makes any sense. Like, I think the value there, now that we're done, now that the dust has settled, this is essentially getting Bryce Young for a second-round pick. I'm perfectly fine making this kind of move. TreVeyon Henderson, I think, is going to be an RB1. I know Omarion Hampton is going to be an RB1, but then you're getting the quarterback. I like this kind of trade. Speaking of trades, we got an offer right here from Mark L. He says, 10-team Superflex traded Rice in the 406 for Cook and the 207. Needed a running back bad. Still have Malik, JJ, Nico, Brian Thomas Jr. I'm in win now with Bowers, Saquon, Hurts, and Stroud. I heard you make a little bit of a noise there. So you and I love Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice, let's pull that back down on Data Lab, see where Rashee Rice and James Cook are both going. Rashee Rice is at that 44 spot. I believe James Cook is more down at pick 52. So very similar value when it comes to startups. But Snoog, I don't think they have the same value when you're talking about actual players. I think I have Rashee Rice close to that 104. I have James Cook more like that 106, 107. So in this particular trade here from Mark, we're looking at, is this enough to go from 207 to 406? I don't think the 406 does anything, but I would want this more to be like that 203 in my mind, and to really make that go. But Mark, at the 207, if you can somehow move up so you can get to like 203 to get possibly Luther Burden, Trey Harris, Cam Skattebo, these are the guys that we're going to be talking about in this rookie area that we are actually trying to actively pursue. So as much as, we want to go team need, I'm personally a little bit higher on Rice. I know Snoog is as well, but James Cook is going to be fantastic as well for one more year. That 207, I want to move you up a little bit more. I want to get into that 203, 204. So some of that bite of losing a Rashee Rice isn't as bad when you get a Trey Harris or a Cam Skattebo. So that's a great question. That's our first super chat right in there. I really appreciate you getting things rolling with that. Snoog, we're on to TreVeyon Henderson trades, and we kind of hit that up. Who's your first guy? Like when you mention TreVeyon Henderson, in the same breath, we're going to talk about the same guy every time, right? Like, I think across their career, until one of them truly explodes, it's going to be who was better, Quinshon Judkins or TreVeyon Henderson. Very similar ADP. This part of the ADP process, Snoog, is the gap between Omarion Hampton, TreVeyon Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, it was 102, 105, 106, 107. Now all of a sudden you look at it, and they're ranked exactly where you and I said they were going to be. We said Henderson was going to be 8 to 10. We said Judkins was going to be 12. We said Hampton was going to be 6. We said Jeanty was going to be 3. And that's where they are now after the dust has settled. Sell me on Quinshon Judkins here at his ADP of 51.
Yeah, I'm looking at my rankings to the left. I think I'm a lot higher on all three of the rookie running backs that we just talked about, and Henderson, Hampton, and Judkins, because I have them all in my top 9 rankings, all in a tier. Saquon, Henderson, Hampton, Breece Hall, Achane, and Judkins all in the same tier. And you're getting Judkins at the very, very latest of all of them by a lot. Like, it's there's a huge swing here. I think it's what? From the last guy in that tier I talked about was Henderson, 45 to 51. So big swing there. But Judkins, guy that did it all in college, he was a 3-down back at Ole Miss, went to Ohio State, proved he can be the 2-down grinder, the between the tackles merchant, just rushing consistently between the tackles and being a guy that can play with vision, strength, power, all that good stuff. And he can still catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a do-it-all workhorse. He's a guy that had 1,500 plus yards as a true freshman in the SEC, 1,000 plus yards in all 3 seasons. The only other 1,000 plus yard true freshman in this running back class is TreVeyon Henderson, his teammate. So Judkins, the Browns, okay, there is a concern there. People are like, well, the Browns are going to be horrible. They're going to be throwing the ball a ton. They're going to be top 5 again in pass attempts. Yeah, but usually in bad offenses, the running backs dominate. They get all the touches. They get all the receptions out of the backfield. They score all the touchdowns down in the red zone. You're going to see that from Quinshon Judkins right away in this Browns offense. They already said he's going to go ahead and be the lead starter. So I'm fully bullish on him over guys like Kyron, James Cook, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, all those guys.
I'm still taking Bucky, but let's pull up some trades here on Dynasty Data Lab because I'm excited. I think you're going to like some of these looks. Matthew Golden in a 26 second or Quinshon Judkins.
If I could do this in any league, I'd be doing it in a heartbeat.
I know you would. And I see some other ones like Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, and Jordan James. Like, that's nuts. Here's one. Travis Etienne, who a lot of people are really worried about right now. I mean, you look at the ADP in redraft, and actually, crazy enough, Tootin's going before Etienne, and then 10 picks later, it's Tank Bigsby. I've never seen 3 running backs going in essentially 15 picks of each other. They're almost all going in the same round. But Travis Etienne in a random 27 first or Quinshon Judkins. Now we got to start thinking a little bit. You know, like that 27 class is vaulted. Okay. All right.
I want Judkins.
I'm gonna get you on one of these. I know I will. All right. Quinshon Judkins and a random 26 first or Lad McConkey?
Quinshon Judkins all day long. Not thinking twice about it.
All right. I like where your head's at on these. One more, just for good measure. Someone traded their 28 and 27 first for Quinshon Judkins. What do you think of that?
I want the picks.
Yeah, that's way too much.
I want the picks there a little bit. Yeah, I think that's just a little bit. I'd value Judkins at like probably a random first and second plus a small piece. That's why, to me, like I value Lad at like 2 random first. So like I'm getting basically 2.5 first value for Lad, and I'm getting a running back that could be absolutely exploding. So that's why I was kind of like, But
all right, I'm gonna pull up arguably the best value when it comes to rookies. You and I didn't even talk about it in the original. RJ Harvey's going RB20 at ADP 71, Snoog. RB20. That's behind Chase Brown, Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, going behind Terry McLaurin, going behind, Dak Prescott. I think people are really going to start to come around on RJ Harvey. I know he's not original guy from our show sheet, but Snoog, everything I hear from Sean Payton is he wants him to be Darren Sproles juiced up. He wants him to, be the guy that's going to be their elite player.
Hamster.
Tatum puts up on here. Tatum says Ayuk in a 26 second or Harvey. I'm taking Harvey all day long. I think RJ Harvey, I have him as my 108 in this class now. I think this is a huge discrepancy. You said there was a discrepancy between Henderson and Judkins being at pick 45 versus 51. I'm going 2 rounds later to get RJ Harvey, and I think that's huge. For in Dynasty, we're talking about our rookie drafts discrepancies. 107 is where Judkins is usually going. Harvey's usually going 108 to 110. If I can get him all the way down here in this area where I'm taking him at the same spot as Chris Olave, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, a couple picks before Chuba Hubbard and Jalen Waddle, I'm smashing RJ Harvey everywhere I can because I want to be invested in this Broncos offense. The offensive line is top 10. Bo Nix was top 5 and trying to get the running backs involved. Sean Payton has never had an offense where they have not been top 6 in targets to the running backs. Even though the Broncos sucked last year from the running back position, they still were top 6 in target share of the running backs. I mean, Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, just polish him up, get him out of here. RJ Harvey is going to be, he's going to be that guy, you know, and I think there is a little bit of a bust potential, but the boom potential is huge. And if I could get him, I traded him. I got RJ Harvey and Calvin Ridley the other day for Derrick Henry. I just think there's a ton of opportunity, and he could be a top 12 running back day one in the NFL. Is he going to have the same longevity as these other guys? Maybe not, but I love this. Here we got Tatum put, who's winning the Harvey versus Judkins combo between Snoog and Dad? Snoog, which one of these two guys will score more points in 2025?
Quinshon Judkins.
Okay, here's the deal. We're making it right now.
RJ Harvey's old enough to be his stepdad.
We're just talking about who's going to score more points this year. So at the end of the year, when this is all said and done, when the dust settles, I really just started looking up Jersey. They got some great products over there. Whoever wins this one, whoever has more points between RJ Harvey and Quinshon Judkins, the other host has to buy the other guy a jersey. All right,
I run it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll put that one down there. So let's throw some RJ Harvey trades here. Flip them up on the screen, and we'll keep rolling with this. Guys, again, we're going over our top 10 rookie steals. We will take, any kind of super chats that have to deal with rookie questions, with startup questions, with questions about what's our favorite color. No, we don't care. Throw it up there. We're going to do it. So who do you have?
Okay, let's start off with a banger. You paying up a 26 first and 26 second for RJ Harvey?
Yes, because I'm assuming it's late. I mean, if it's mid, I'm still doing it because I think he's going to absolutely smash in 2025. Okay. So I would do that.
Here's one that obviously you're going to say yes. I would actually go the other way. Caleb Johnson versus RJ Harvey. I'd prefer Johnson. I'd prefer Harvey.
I love Caleb Johnson. You know that. I've just gotten a lot more bullish on RJ Harvey. And I think he's going to be, a top 15 back in 2025. And I think that is in the realm of possibility for Caleb Johnson. I want to see a quarterback in place. I want to see a lot of things for that offense.
They'll both be good. That's the correct answer.
I think so.
They're both going to put up points. I just think Caleb Johnson, if they both do put up points, Caleb Johnson's going to gain more value because the age adjusted, all that good stuff.
Here's the trade I'm making. If you go down to on May 19th,
the Bucky one.
Yep. RJ Harvey.
I already know.
Or RJ Harvey, a 27 first and a 26 second for Bucky Irving. I told you, and that's not even somebody sending that in, but we'll cowbell it. Because I told you I've been drafting Hampton everywhere. I've been trading Hampton for a 27 first plus Harvey. I think Harvey's going to really give you more bang for your buck. The insulation is there. I know I went a little bit off script there trying to get RJ Harvey in just because I'm scrolling through here. I'm so excited about where these guys go. And that kind of value is just unmatched in your startups. The next guy, and since we're on running backs and we're talking about good value, why don't you go ahead and hit us up on your boy Cam Skattebo. Cam Skattebo going RB 25 at ADP, almost outside the top 100, Snoop.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting the Giants starting running back in the 9th round at the back, pretty much back end of the 8th, but it's more so that early 9th range. And to me, Cam Skattebo is a guy that, one, is going to come in, be a workhorse running back. Tracy's good enough. He's going to play. He's not going to be a nobody. It's going to be like Rashad White, Bucky Irving. Tracy's going to play like kind of third down, scat pack, receiving type role. The dude puts the ball on the ground too much. He's not consistent between the tackles, doesn't have the power, the strength, the size, the blend of all that stuff that you want for a guy running between the tackles to gain out the extra tough yards and all that short yardage stuff that Cam Skattebo does have. And Cam Skattebo is just a better player, all around better player than Tyrone Tracy. And that's fine. It doesn't mean Tracy stinks. It just means Tracy's going to probably play that Rashad White backseat role and be the third down type of guy. But Cam Skattebo, this offense is growing. I mean, they got a quarterback. They got weapons now. They're building something over there in New York, something better than what it's been the past few years. And if I have a chance of getting that team starting running back in the 9th round, any starting running back in the 9th round is good value, especially when they're a 22, 23-year-old rookie. But Cam Skattebo's analytic profile, his tape, his film, everything about him as a prospect, I loved. I thought he was such a good value, and he was like one of 3 running backs to post 1,700 total yards and 500 receiving yards in a season. Ashton Jeanty, Christian McCaffrey, Cam Skattebo. That's the type of company he's in, and he had one of the hardest schedules in college football last year. Dominated, absolutely dominated.
You love where he's going. Let's take a look at some of these trades because I think you're going to love that even more. Deebo Samuel and Cam Skattebo or Ayuk and Tajay Spears.
So I think I can't
That's
believe
close, right?
But I think the Ayuk hate's getting a little out of hand, like a little bit. Like I think at this point I'm buying Ayuk if I can pay this for him, but it is close. It is close.
All right, what about Cam Skattebo in a fourth or Trey Benson and Malik Washington?
Just package up those 2-tiered sandwiches and go get Cam Skattebo, baby.
Who do you like better as a prospect? I think Trey Benson is a nice stash and rebuild, but who do you like better as a prospect between Skattebo and Benson?
Skattebo. All right. Benson wouldn't have cracked my top 10 this year as a prospect.
And we're gonna go next one. Give me. Hold on, I like this. There's no way. Some of these are wild.
I know there's so many crazy ones.
How about we go with Cam Skattebo and Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren in the 28 first?
Oh, I don't.
I know you love Loveland.
Yeah, that one's weird. I'd probably go with the Warren side. 28 first, though. I hate trading a 28 first, and I don't like getting one.
I'm not dealing them anywhere. I'm trying to deal for this guy though. Tetairoa McMillan going as the wide receiver 16. Man, at ADP of 39. So you're getting him in the fourth round. Snoog, Hunter and McMillan, they're going to be two names that are tied next to each other of who did you take between 103 and 104? Was it McMillan? Was it Hunter? Both these guys are going. Hunter's going at 36. Tetairoa is going at 39. Fourth round, I think he's going to be a second round startup pick next year. He's 100% going to be at least a third round startup. 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns. He's someone that in this offense with Dave Canales, you and I have said this same thing over and over again, but he's the Mike Evans in this offense. Dave Canales did great things with Bryce Young at the end of the year. I think Tetairoa McMillan is going to have the best rookie wide receiver season in 2025 just because he's set up for 140 plus targets. He's set up to, be the number one red zone threat because Carolina doesn't have a lot to deal with in the red zone. Mm-hmm. They don't have a lot of, elite level weapons in that area. I think he could really put up 8 to 10 touchdowns and 100 receptions. And when that happens, he is going to skyrocket up to where Brian Thomas Jr. is right now. He's my Brian Thomas Jr. of 2025. I don't think he's as athletic as Brian Thomas Jr., but I think he can put up similar type production year one. What kind of trades do we have for him?
Yeah, I love this one right away because I do think that this is a predicament that people are in every single rookie draft, especially if you're picking at the 102 or 103 and you want to take one of Tet or Travis Hunter. In this case, Tetairoa McMillan in a 27 second for Travis Hunter in a 26 third. So you get that 2-3 swap in favor of the guy that you want between whether it's Hunter or McMillan. I'm sure every single league's different. I'm sure there's some leagues you could get Hunter in a second. I'm sure there's some leagues you can get Tet in a second. That's exactly what you should be doing in these rookie drafts. If you don't feel strongly about one of them, or even if you're like us and you like both of them, just take whoever you get the plus, like a second on top of.
Here's something that I've really started to debate with people is there's no clear-cut 102. There's 3 guys that are in that area, and some people even start to argue that they want Ward in there. And the gap between 2 and 8 is nowhere near the gap it was last year. And everybody says, well, that means this class isn't good. I think you're foolish if you think that. I think this class from 2 to 8 is fantastic. It's just that number 1 is honestly generational. That's such a big gap. 2 to 8 is really, really solid, back end wide receiver ones, middle RB ones, tight end ones. I mean, you're talking about getting guys that are 4 and 5 at the tight end position. And it kind of just blows my mind that people say, well, there's no clear cut 2, so the class is bad. Stop. Tetairoa McMillan, Hampton, and Hunter are all going to be fantastic players.
Yep, I absolutely agree. Ooh, here's a good one here too. Deontay Johnson, a 26 first and a 28 second for Tet. So it's basically a first and a second for Tet. I'd pay that all day freaking long.
Yeah, you're not. Deontay Johnson should not be a sweetener in any type of deal. The gap between these two, it's like Snoog. I'm a Tet guy. You're a Hunter guy. And if you were on the clock at 3 and I was going to take Tet 2, would you do that 27-2-3 swap? Is it worth it for you? Like, is there that peace of mind? Because I have not seen it, but I've people are talking about, if I want my guy, if I feel that conviction, I don't want to give up a straight up second. But if we do a 2-3 swap, would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, I'd favor whoever I get the second. So if I can get the second with Hunter, I'd take Hunter. If I can get the second with Tet, I'd take Tet. I think they're very close enough as prospects and players and talents and with their situations. I think Bryce Young and Tet's situation's better than the Jaguars for Travis Hunter, but I just prefer the plus on top of whoever I can get there. Again, that's my 102 and 103 right there. Like you said, it's the same tier. Whatever you want to do, fight with a wall, but it's the same.
Hunter's going. I know you and I have talked ad nauseum about Travis Hunter, so I want to talk more about where he's going right now. And he's going at pick 36. So I'm going to start naming some names that are in this area. You tell me if you want Travis or the player. Are you ready?
Yep.
AJ Brown. Now you're doing a startup. I'm not saying it,
Travis
Hunter. Bucky Irving.
Travis Hunter.
Kyler
Bucky
Murray
has no business being where he's going in these startups right now.
With it, it's tough to draft him after you pay so much.
Gross in that range. So gross.
Kyler Murray.
Travis Hunter.
All right. And then Breece Hall.
Travis Hunter.
All right. So we're talking Travis Hunter.
I think Travis Hunter has a lot more path to gain value than all those guys you just named. That's why. Like he comes out and goes up 1,000 yards. He's top 10 wide receiver in Dynasty.
Are you ready for this now? Jadon Blue, Travis Hunter in a 26 first. And you know who I'm going to bring up? Brian Thomas Jr. and Tony Pollard. I love this trade, right? Brian Thomas Jr. and Tony Pollard.
Yep.
Or Jadon Blue, Travis Hunter, and a random 26 first.
Travis Hunter.
See, I got to go BTJ there. I think the gap between the two. I think the gap between the two is more than.
I think skill-wise, they're neck and neck with each other in terms of like pure wide receiver talent. Skill-wise.
The tricky part for me is like BTJ
has already done it.
He's already done it, and he's more polished. And I'm really tired of the people saying Travis Hunter's a bad route runner. Look at what happened on this. Dude, there's a lot of things to look at too. There's a lot of things to look at there. Is like, no, but he's going from playing 2 positions to 1. It's going to take some time to really craft it out, but the system in Jacksonville is going to be different than Colorado. It's like there's so much garbage that people are throwing about there. Travis Hunter and Trey Benson or Drake London.
Travis Hunter.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Polishing up Trey Benson and for any second I can get or any.
Here's one you're going to love. Travis Hunter in 27 first for a Marion in 2:27 seconds.
Yeah, it's a 27 third and second. So it's not
second
even
third.
Second. That's juicy. I love that. If I could get that done in any league, I would. All right. So there's obviously risk with drafting Travis Hunter, being bullish on Travis Hunter. Like we know that that's baked in. Like I know that there's risk. If he was like always guaranteed playing full-time wide receiver, was drafted this high as a wide receiver, all that good, like he would be like everybody's wide receiver, like 9 in Dynasty already before he even plays a snap. The risk is baked in. I'm fine taking the risk over like a Bucky Irving, a Breece Hall, guys like that could in 2 years be worth nothing, like that quick. That's why I don't care about like missing on a pick like that, because he's so good that if he hits, he's a friggin' early second round startup pick. If he doesn't hit, he has so much name cachet and so much prospect hype. He's not going to take a big hit in value. Like look at Rome Odunze, JSN, those guys. He's not going to take as big as a hit as those guys did, and they barely took a hit. Drake London didn't put up 1,000 yards for 3 damn seasons, and he was like a 4th round startup pick.
I got a question for you then. If you're insulating right now, this is a trade that I'm considering. Travis Hunter or Matthew Golden and a mid 27 first?
Hunter all day.
All right. See, I'm taking Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden's my next guy. He's wide receiver 31. We talk about value discrepancies. The gap here is massive, like massive, how far you get. This is the wide receiver 1 for the Packers at ADP 83. Snoog, he's going in the same area after DK Metcalf, after Jalen Waddle, after Justin Fields, after Joe Mixon, like in that same area as the same pick as George Pickens, Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa, Jerry Jeudy. I love Jerry Jeudy, by the way. We just throw that in there. But Matthew Golden, in my opinion, has, what happens if DK Metcalf puts up 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns? Nothing. What happens if Jalen Waddle does it? Nothing. What happens when Jameson Williams does it? Nothing. What happens when Matthew Golden does it? He's a 4th-round startup pick because he's 21 years old, elite profile. He goes super early in the draft. I think Matthew Golden's just great value here. And I know a lot of people aren't big on him, but if you're doing a startup, you can't tell me you want Joe Mixon over Matthew Golden. Just for the profile itself, is you have such a short window when you take a guy like Joe Mixon, where you can get other running backs multiple rounds later. I mean, James Conner goes 30 picks later. Aaron Jones goes 50 picks later. Like Joe Mixon might be a little vaulted just where he's at right now. Let's look at some Matthew Golden trades here that we have on Data Lab, because I just think that's for me, that's crazy good value. Pick 83 for a guy that's going to be the wide receiver 1 on a top 10 offense. I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all that comes down to it, right? It's just opportunity, the draft capital, the investment into a Matthew Golden. He's not like the world's best receiver, but he's good enough to be like these Jameson Williams, these other type of guys in the Packers offense, where he has a better chance of gaining value. And sometimes that's all it is, right? It's a better path to gaining value.
Exactly. You and I talked about that. Where did I say I wanted Egbuka to go? The Packers. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted whoever was going to go in that area who's elite.
He would be, if he went to the Packers, he'd probably be everybody's like 107. I'd take him on Camp Ward if Egbuka was a Packer. For sure.
And Golden was a slight tier down from where Egbuka was, but talent-wise, he's not crazy gap in between there. I mean, I think this is the golden opportunity. This is no pun intended there with that one. So hit me up with some trades.
Yeah, what about Jameson Williams or Matthew Golden in 26 second? And you get the little turd sandwich Marvin Mims throwing, little ice cream sandwich tossing.
I do like JMO. I do a lot. I think, we've seen him, unfortunately, have multiple seasons where, we had suspensions and we had injuries and we had a lot of things and we haven't seen it click. But you're just re-rolling the dice here, right? You're getting a similar type player that could put up that 1,000 yards. And as soon as he puts up 1,000 yards, JMO did it last year and he didn't really move up much. If Golden does it, he's going to skyrocket. So give me Golden in the second.
Yeah. Okay, here's another good one for you. I want to see how bullish you are on Matthew Golden, because you know how bullish we are on 27 firsts. Are you willing to give up a 27 first? Let's say it's a late 27 for Matthew Golden, Evan Ingram, and tight end premium.
So the weird thing on these kind of trades is I keep telling people, like, just buy Evan Ingram cheaper. Don't, because some people are like, oh, I'm trying to get Ingram in there. Value-wise, Golden and Ingram, if this is the 110 to 112 and my tight end room is, Kittle only and I need a backup, it's fine. But you don't have to make this trade right now. I keep the 27 first. I think so many of you guys are just trying to fill in a starting lineup right now. I'm not doing that. We're in May. Golden could get injured in camp. Ingram could struggle with the new offense. I'm keeping the 27 first until it's what I call is striking time, where now I have the opportunity where I'm going to need this pick. Now I don't have it, and Golden got hurt. Here's your spot. Wide receiver 31 was Golden. Now we move to wide receiver 27 at ADP 75 for your boy.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting the Buccaneers wide receiver 1 long-term, wide receiver 27, and we saw the numbers that Chris Godwin and Mike Evans could put up in this offense. Well, how about the 22 version or 21 version of Chris Godwin with more juice, more explosiveness, and just as good of a skill set, if not better, coming out as a prospect? Definitely a better prospect than Chris Godwin was. coming out of college, and you're getting him for a huge discount because people are scared of Chris Godwin coming off a broken, snapped ankle that he hurt in the mid-season last year, who might not even be ready for week 1, and 32-year-old Mike Evans, who had a hamstring injury and lingering injuries all season, who's still elite and still great. We love Mike Evans, but I'm more worried about Chris Godwin being back to Chris Godwin than Mike Evans. Mike Evans is going to do his thing. He's going to go out there and throw up 1,000 yards if he's healthy. Emeka Egbuka is going to be the number 2 option next year. Mark my words. I'm locking that in. The ghost of Chris Godwin ain't coming back and scoring 18 fantasy points per game like everyone's hoping. It's not happening. I can promise you that. So let's jump into some of these trades because I'm excited for Egbuka, and I think he's going to blow up in year 2.
Michael Penix Jr. and Egbuka, or Tua and Tet?
Tua and Tet all day.
Yeah. What would that have to be?
That's a double win.
A lot of people are really high on Penix. I think this trade would have to be more like, say, let's call it Baker Mayfield. What if it was Baker Mayfield and Egbuka? Would you consider this?
Nope.
Then you get the stack.
I literally think Penix is a crappier version of Tua, and aren't they the same age, basically? I'm pretty sure they're like,
I think
25 and 26. It's like, yeah. Penix is literally Walmart Tua. So it's like,
all right. Egbuka, or 3.26 seconds and a 27 second.
Smashing Egbuka all day for seconds, all day.
People ask me this all the time, and I got to ask you is, how do you look at seconds versus first? Some people are like, well, 2 seconds are worth a first. I don't think that's how it works. Is like,
maybe if it's 201 and 202.
Yeah, like how a lot of people message that, and they just assume that just because it's a 1 versus 2 that there should be an equation there. I mean, your hit rate on the second round is 25% compared to 50% in your first round, and the level of hits are completely different. I kind of like this one: Jordan Mason, Emeka Egbuka, and a 26 first, or Jalen Noel, Kyle Williams, TreVeyon Henderson, and a second.
I like the Egbuka side there. Yeah, that's good.
The first definitely plus. How about Egbuka or Bryce Young in a third? Very team dependent for sure.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I'd probably lean Egbuka for face value because I think if Bryce comes out and doesn't dominate, then people are just going to be like, get this guy off my damn roster.
And I got one more: Egbuka and a 26 second, or Tyler Warren in tight end premium.
Oh, I'm taking Egbuka over Warren straight up, so that's a win-win.
Well, no, this okay, all right. Because that leads into my next guy, Tyler Warren, going as tight end 4 at ADP 60. So I am bullish on Tyler Warren as a prospect. I think Steichen's going to get him involved in multiple facets of the game. I think he's going to throw for touchdowns. I think he's going to run for touchdowns, and they're going to utilize him as that full weapon. I know everyone's like, okay, Anthony Richardson this, Anthony Richardson that. And you and I are both back in on Anthony Richardson a little bit at cost, but I think that's the key. We're not like, I'm not saying he's going to be back where we thought he was going to be, but at that tight end 4 range, would you rather have Devonta Smith or Tyler Warren in tight end premium?
Devonta Smith for me.
How about Xavier Worthy?
I'd probably lean Warren there.
And here's the crazy, the next two, Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers. Like I just can't.
I take Warren over both of them. Yeah, just because the prospect and the draft capital and all that stuff.
Yeah. Couple quick trades. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say what I love most too is like, so you look at this show, right? It's like steals and startups. You're like, oh, well, how is Tyler Warren, and we're gonna talk about Colston Loveland shortly. How are those two steals if they're tight end 4 and 5? It's because if you look at where they're going, with George Kittle and TJ Hawkinson, like right after those 4, it's like a dead zone at tight end for me. Like, I don't want tight ends. I don't want them. So you better get yours before those guys go. The value's crazy on them.
Well, I mean, you're getting Zay Flowers, the wide receiver 22, or Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren's the tight end 4. Like he has a lot of room to move it. It's the same value range as Dak Prescott, Terry McLaurin, Caleb Johnson, George Kittle. Like, this is where you make or break your team. But I think these guys have that tight end upside. Some of these Warren trades, I mean, And Loveland trades are in that same area. Let's pull up a couple here. We already talked about Warren and Egbuka. How about Tyler Warren or Rondé Gadsden in the 26th first?
Yeah, I saw that too. I like the Warren side there, as long as that's like projected like late. Like if that's like my 26 first, I'm trading it, and it's like probably mid to late, like the 108 to 112, I'd do it.
You got Warren or Joe Mixon and Evan Ingram. I think that's a smash.
Yep, smash.
Skattebo and hold on, Lawrence and a 26 second, or Tyler Warren and a 27 first. I don't think I've ever thought about that trade in my life, but I kind of like the Warren side. I don't think I've ever would even consider that being a trade.
I don't know. That's tough. That's just
Tyler Warren or Josh Downs in 2 seconds.
I don't like Josh Downs, but like I like Josh Downs. I hate the situation, but Warren's in the same situation. That's
all
close.
right. Here we go. My man Cheesehead 0412 says he's taking Jeanty at 101. He's at the 105. That's crazy that Hunter and Tet are both there at 5. Snoog, I think we're just going to be split down the middle. I'm gonna obviously say Tet. You're gonna say Hunter. The answer is probably only one of them still there, though. I can't see a scenario where both of these guys are there at 5.
If both are there, take your 26 first and second and trade up to 5 and 6.
Or to 6. Yeah.
Take both of them. Take both of them. You can do that. Yeah.
I like that much better because we're going to be pinned against each other when it comes to Tet, when it comes to Hunter. And I think the answer is both. That's really, I love this. Dr. Bigham says like button equals smashed. You guys are awesome when it comes to these kind of things. I know you're used to the super chats. Last night we did 28 of them with the trade shows. We're going to start making this a thing with the Superflex startups and kind of trying to help you guys get into startup season as well. We got 2 more guys. You have one. I have one. Last one for you. Colston Loveland at ADP 68.
I love that. Yeah, he feels like the best kept secret, even though he's not really a secret, but it's just because people are so scared of the situation. But how do you not like Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams being your situation for Colston Loveland? Long term, he's 20 years old. He's going to be just fine. He's going to hold up well. The biggest sell that I have, everybody that's asked me, well, why do you want Loveland over Warren? Why do you like Loveland so much? All this in the Discord, everything. This is all I need to say to them. I don't even have to bring up Loveland as a prospect. Nothing about that because we know he's great. Ben Johnson, hired to be the savior of the Bears franchise, a team that hasn't done anything while I've been alive, a team that hasn't had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards, a team that has just been struggling like crazy. You bring in this offensive-minded guru who turned the Lions franchise around like crazy, was a big part of that, comes in. The first thing he does is take a tight end 10th overall with the needs they needed. They needed DN. They needed all these D linemen in one of the best D-line and depth D-line classes that we've seen in a little bit. Comes in and drafts a tight end. You think he's not going to use that tight end? I can damn well promise you that tight end is going to be a big part of his game plan. And with Ben Johnson's offense and with Caleb Williams as the quarterback, he's probably going to score a lot of touchdowns, and he's going to be very efficient on his touches. Probably design screens, a lot of across the middle winning for him on the football field, and it's going to be all yak. Like he's better than Sam Laporta as a prospect. He's going to be Sam Laporta plus in this Bears offense, and I'm getting him in the middle of the 6th round in tight end premium. That's how I'm selling you on Colston Loveland.
Right now, Colston Loveland is going right there just above George Kittle, just above RJ Harvey, just above Chris Olave. Same area as Chuba Hubbard, TJ Hawkinson. When you actually look at the trades, then this is where it starts to get juicy, Snoop. Random 26 first or Colston Loveland. What pick does that have to be in 2026 for you to say no?
He's going to be the tight end 1 in the 26 class by a mile. I would take him over any late 26 first and probably any mid. He'd probably be just projecting of what we know at the 26 class, what we're expecting. He'd probably be like the 104 to 106 in that class.
Okay.
Maybe
Loveland or G. Willie in a 27 first. Wow. That's crazy. That's wild. Like someone's
the first
that
is on the
bullish
wrong
him.
side.
Hawkinson in a second or Loveland?
I want Loveland. I'd take the upside shot on Loveland. You get like what, 7 years younger too.
Mm-hmm. We got Harvey and Loveland or Ladd McConkey and Jaheim Sanders. So is Harvey and Loveland enough for you to give up Ladd McConkey?
I feel like there's a lot of like taking shots and taking risks on the Harvey and Loveland side, but I kind of like it. That's kind of juicy.
I do too. I think you get two
If
real
they
shots
both
there.
Hit, that's big time. Like they're big time hits if they both hit, I think.
My last guy here for this show, which I think, we're going to call it the top 10 Superflex steals and the top 100 picks. I had to throw it in there. It's pick 101. It's kind of cheating. But Trey Harris at wide receiver 40. I think Trey Harris, if he wasn't injured this year, it would have been drafted way higher than where he went. Someone that, crazy when you look at yards per route run. Everything about him screams that he's going to be a success in the NFL. And he's going, Luther Burden's going as wide receiver 36, and I like that. And Ayuk is 37. Purcell's 38. Jaden Higgins now has passed him at 39. Trey Harris at wide receiver 40, I think, is just screaming value. He goes in the same spot as Isaiah Pacheco, Mark Andrews, Devontae Adams. I just think if bang for your buck, Trey Harris could really increase in value. I think he's the perfect complement to Ladd McConkey. Not a ton of trades there that get super juicy. It's like Trey Harris and Tua or Cam Ward. I think I'm taking Ward there. How about this one? Trey Harris and a 26 first or Devon Achane.
Did someone do that in our Discord, or was that on a trade show? I swear that same trade. Yeah, it was on our trade.
The Tua one?
The 26 first and Harris for Achane. I think it's off by like a second.
Yeah. Trey Harris and Cam Ward or James Cook, Trey Harris or Luther Burden. There's a lot of opportunity here to get him added into a deal. Trey Harris in a second for RJ Harvey. I'm smashing Harvey. RJ Harvey and Trey Harris for Travis Hunter. Smashing Hunter. There's a lot of opportunity to be had. There's a lot of great trades to be done. Snoog and I are going to be here every Wednesday night, really just covering different areas and different aspects of your startups. We're going to do what the quarterbacks look like, what the running backs look like. We want to get you guys in position to 4x your money right off the bat. You pay 50, you win the whole league, and now all of a sudden you're paid for multiple years. The best way to do that, get into the Patreon, patreon.com/smash accept. Again, the link is right there below. What you guys got to do, you go there, you put in code STATS, you're going to get 50% off. I'll send you the link to the Discord. You get in there, you meet Snoog, you meet myself. We're going to help you out with all of our trades, everything we do. So thank you so much again for tuning in, guys, and enjoy the process.